Depending on the type of wood that you use.
Depending on the type of wood that you use, it'll come out different.
You can put...
Hold on. Let me get on this side. So you
Just
got to
because
go
if it come out this color on pine,
yeah.
don't mean if you put it on maple, poplar, or oak that it would be the same color.
Right.
Because of the grain of the woods and type of material
So
that you use. You're not going to get the same color by changing woods. Like on the maple cabinets, if they were stained with this same color stain, it's not going to match because this is pine.
Okay. So you're saying
So
even the color could be the same, but if you put it on different type of wood, it's going to turn out different.
The same
even
color.
If the wood now...
If it's pine, majority of it will stay the same color, but if you try to go from pine to an oak, it's going to be a different color.
Why do you cut and stain this before you install it?
Because you can't get in these grooves.
What do you
Now,
mean?
if you were painting it,
you're saying if it was already
locked in,
you
know, once you lock it in, you wouldn't be able to get
the stain in there.
It would be darker because you'd have to keep putting it in there to fill in the crack.
I got you.
So it's best to stain it before you.
Plus, is it harder to stain something?
That and the way it ain't dripping on the floor and stuff, or over your head.
So you stain it, then how do you cover up the holes? Or do you have to cover up the holes?
Now, if you use 16 gauge nail on it, you won't see it.
So what'd you use to stain it?
Mid-wax.
Here, hold it up right.
Woodshed color.
Min-wax Performance Series. Interior wood stain?
Mm-hmm.
What color? Clear?
No, it's a woodshed. You have to have it mixed up to the color you want.
Okay. So when you're installing this, you put it up. How do you start though? Do you stagger it, or do you do straight?
Well, it depends on the length of the room.
Okay.
In this case, it's all one little piece that you're putting in.
Right. This is going to.
So it won't have to have no staggering to it.
So all of these are just going to be straight run.
Yep. And it just locks together. And it just slides right in together like that. If I had a rubber hammer, I could snap it in, but
it's just got a groove, and this piece just kind of locks in.
Yep.
And you tap it in. But if you're doing this on the ceiling, is there a certain thing that you got to do?
Need an extra set of hands.
So you got somebody holding it up.
One on both sides.
Then
that way you can both feed it in together. That's what
you want to stain it and then
install it after that. Stain it, let it dry, and install it.
Is there, okay. All right, show how this is called tongue and groove, also known as what?
V-groove.
They call it a V-groove, but why? Why do they call it that?
They call it V-groove because of the way it's cut, the notches in it.
So those notches, when they're put together, they kind of form a V all the way down?
Yep.
All right, and then how do you click it in place?
The tongue.
Yep, so this is out of the tongue and groove.
This is a tongue.
This is
a groove side.
This is your groove side. Okay. All right. So what we've done is we went on ahead and brought it to the shop and stained it. Then we're going to install it. Papa talked about that, but talk to me about the clicking it in.
When you're installing it on the site, though, you'll have a rubber mallet and you'll just kind of bump it in.
Now, does this matter? The color of the mallet?
The color of the mallet?
Yeah, black versus white.
Black, it'll scuff up a lot of stuff.
It leaves marks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're the second person to say that I was videoing with so the black rubber mallet actually does scuff worse than the white one.
Yes, it scuffs a lot worse.
Okay.
And then they have like white and gray.
Yeah.
Gray scuffs a little bit, but the white, I like the white personally.
White don't do it as much. Okay. So show me what it would look like for you guys to be installing this.
So you would
have
you would
two
start
people
with like your first piece.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure you're running square.
Yeah.
Your first piece matters the most, really, with squareness. Yeah. And then, and usually the first piece is the only one that gets shot in the face too. You know what I mean? So
what do you mean by that? So when you're looking at this,
you're gonna shoot it in the face.
You got to, right? Because you're all the way against.
Yeah.
You're basically all the way against.
Because if you just shoot it in the tongue on that first piece, it's gonna fall.
Okay.
And then you can just, when you shoot it in that tongue,
Yeah.
and then you put your next piece on. It's secured on there, and you shoot your next.
So the rest of them you're going to shoot in that tongue.
Now, sometimes it just really, because sometimes these things are bowed,
Yeah.
and if you don't get them all the way in, then you're going to end up, getting a 16th here. 8th
When you
here.
say bowed, you're meaning lengthwise. It's
Yeah.
actually bowed a little bit, so
And if
it's
you
not
can't-
completely
and sometimes you have to
straight.
shoot it in the face to keep it held in.
So what do you mean by? Yeah, but I think he's talking actually.
Like this.
They curve. Yeah, so curve instead
Yep.
of. But when they curve, you're saying you kind of have to force
You'll
it.
have to pry it
Yeah, push
straight
it and then
shoot it.
Okay. And then how do you figure out your nail pattern on that? So like if you were to put that
So if there's
up against,
sheetrock up here,
yeah, so like
I would
these
pop
are
lines.
these
where
are trusses, right?
Yeah, wherever your ceiling joists are.
Hold on.
So if you walk into a house, sheetrock ceiling,
Yeah.
you want to find your joists and take your chalk box and go ahead and pop a line where all your joists are. Because as you go, you're going to be covering all that up, so you're going to need it throughout that room.
Yeah.
That
So you
needs
can
to be
see.
one of the first things you
Yeah,
do.
so you're
when
saying
walk
if
in.
you're laying this over a sheetrock ceiling,
Yep.
right?
You
And
need-
really you need to put sheetrock. So like on the exterior and stuff, it doesn't matter when you're doing that tongue and groove.
Right.
But I was talking to our insulator, and he was like, even on like new construction, right, where you just have the ceiling or your rafters, he's saying he recommends putting sheetrock up before
Before
you
you
do
do
the,
it,
yeah,
yeah.
because for your R value and the
Yes,
insulation.
Because that you're always going to, it's wood, so what air is going to find its way through.
Yeah, and then let's say you have a roof leak. Well, now that
There was no
There was
any
no-
kind of
yep.
protection barrier.
so that's coming straight onto that tongue and groove. Now, if it's a bad enough roof leak, it's going to still hit the sheetrock and still eventually make its way down, but it's still that extra protection
Yeah.
against it. So
And
it
it-
may not ruin that tongue and
Another
groove. You would pop your line, that way you can install it and be able to see where your studs are the whole way through.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because if you find out where your stuff is, just where you're starting at,
Yeah.
when you shoot into your tongue, when you put that next board on, you don't know where the nails were.
Yeah, so you're
this
popping every line, right? All the way across.
All the way
and
across
then
every
installing.
16 you want. You want as many nails as you know what I mean, can get up there, because it's set after this hangs up there for a year and you didn't hit one of those joists, it's going to start bellying
Yeah.
real bad. Make sure you square all your ends off.
And what do you mean by that? So again,
So the
this is-
factory edges, they're not perfectly square, and you want to make sure everything is good and square before you get.
Want to check to make sure when they run it through the plane that it didn't bevel out on the end.
Ends. Yep.
What do you mean by that?
He's talking about because when it comes out of that planer, and if they don't have something that's level catching it, or the person's letting it
Yeah.
fall, it digs into that
little bit.
blade,
Yeah.
and it'll take the whole. It's usually about 3 or 4 inches of it. You'll see it die off.
3 or 4 inches
All right.
on your board.
Really? So check the last 3 or 4 inches on
Yep.
your tongue and groove?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, so
That's really any kind of lumber that you get that's planed out like
Yeah.
that.
follow and subscribe for more.